Yo, what up, everybody? It is season 4, episode 22 on the Enough Said podcast. Championship Sunday, gentlemen. What's happening? What's going on?
What's
Hey,
up?
what's up? What's up?
What's
What is
going on,
going
everybody?
on? AFC NFC championship. This is the big one today, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
this is it.
Oh, especially for Mike. You know
Mike's
what I mean?
in.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel good. I mean, this is, everything they worked for this year. This is what it comes down to. So just got to execute, come through. So,
Oh,
I'm ready.
You ought to feel good, Mike. I mean, you got an easy path right to the Super Bowl. Don't mess it
Yeah.
up.
You can't see it, Jermaine, but I got my title. It says a complete game because that's what I think San Francisco's going to do today. I think, this is one of their best performances. No slight to the Lions. I just think that the Niners, will come out and demonstrate that they belong. I think the Ravens are going to do the same thing, but I think, those teams are going to just show that they're just a class, just a notch up above everybody else. And, but they got to execute. They got to do their thing all 4 quarters and, do what they've been trained to do, right? Do what they practice, do everything they've been doing all season for the most part. So I'm ready.
No excuses, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
I don't want to hear no excuses today. Whatever happens, man.
No. I mean, you know how I feel about, I
know.
love them, I care about it, but I'm not going to go, jump out the window and hang myself or, because these guys, as soon as the game is over, they're exchanging jerseys, So,
Exactly.
so if they're not mad, I'm not mad,
What's your favorite drink? What's your favorite drink that you usually drink, on occasions and whatnot, special occasions, Mike?
Usually a mule.
Oh, really?
Okay.
All right.
Moscow or Kentucky mule,
All right, maybe,
All right.
yeah. Maybe you need a double and a triple if they lose this game today.
He also needs a shot of Crown
Yeah.
Royal. So.
Yeah. No, some whiskey, man.
Yeah.
And Jermaine, on the flip side, your boy is on the road today. Mahomes again on the road. Will he do it in Baltimore on a rainy Sunday? We'll talk about that too.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the Eagles coaches. We'll talk about Championship Sunday, of course. Some players and coaches on the move. We got a lot to go over today. So let's get into it with some intros, of course, as always. So here we go. We'll start out with the guy on the road there. Every time he actually shows up on time for the show, it's a thriller. Maybe it's because he's up on the roof effing up the chiller. What up,
Wow.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I had to get that one in.
Oh, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. But I don't deal with. Oh man, let me tell you something. The contractor signed off on it. You know what I mean? Because we usually do our inspections and all that stuff on a cooling tower. I don't have chillers, so when we actually went up there, found out that another contractor that came works for the same company. Bearings were burnt out. Belt was all. Both motors, man. It was pretty bad. It was bad, and it had to happen on a Friday. So. But
yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. But like I said, someone's gonna get fired over this, and we're not paying for these motors, So
I was just about to say they say they're gonna fix them.
Free.
The guy said they did the job, and didn't do it, and it's pretty obvious.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
So,
All right, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed on that front, man. Let's get to this other guy. He's hoping Brock Purdy grows up to be a man this weekend and stands tall. One thing's for sure, he'll never get saddled like Dre Greenlaw. What up, Mike?
What's up, Mike?
Yeah.
Mike.
Yep.
Go ahead.
It's time for Brock to make his name, right?
Right.
You're going to be a
MVP,
man today,
man.
Brock?
Yeah.
You're
Might
going
be
to find out.
MVP.
Yeah. I don't think he'll get MVP. I know we'll talk about that, but I think the MVP thing. But look, I don't care if I'd rather him be Super Bowl MVP than regular MVP right about now.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. And on a related note, at his son's school, with everything going on, he had to remain calm. He lost it and went crazy when he met Big Dom. What up, Andre?
Oh man, that's a good. Yep, man. I met Dom.
There you go.
It was my kid's concert, and
Mhm.
I saw him come in, but I didn't really like try to look. And I was looking again. I said, I'm good with faces, so I was like, that looks like Dom. I was like, let me check my phone. Looking at it, I
Mhm.
said, that looks like him. Let me see about that chain, because if that would do it. And I looked, and it was him. So yeah, it was cool, because like when the concert was over, we're walking out. There
Mhm.
was a guy in front of me wearing the Eagles hat, and that guy saw Dom, and Dom was standing right there, and he just shook his hand. And then I just came up, and I said, hey, how you doing, Dom? He said, hey, just put his hand out, and then didn't really have any conversation. I asked though, because his wife was standing there, and I said, oh, which kid was in which for the band or the chorus. He said, "Oh, she said my daughter. We're here visiting a friend of theirs that go to my son's school."
Mm.
So, but Dom is local. I mean, he's from South Philly, and
Okay.
he's always around. So pretty cool to meet him and see him and stuff. So
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And think about it, Sal. If it wasn't for Drake Greenlaw, y'all would never even know what Big Dom looks like.
That's true.
It would have never even came up.
Man.
Dre would have saw that guy and be like, man, that guy looks like the Kingpin.
Yeah.
And Dre's
Right.
like,
That looks like Big Tom.
and Dre's like, how I know it's Big Dom? I'm like, go up and push him, find out. You'll find out real quick.
Yeah, that
man.
was really cool. I'm like, wow, of all
Mhm.
schools, my son's school, he's here. Wow, okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we get into Championship Sunday, let's talk about it. We got Vic, we got Kellen, we got a coach who coached the Miami defense. We got another coach who coached the Chargers offense, who was 21st this past year. Although he did have some top 5 offenses with the Cowboys when he was there, 3 out of the 4 years. So, initial thoughts on these guys. Eagles seem like they got their mans, but you know what's interesting though? They have all these new offensive and defensive coordinators over the last couple years. And you know who's been there through all those changes? Howie and Nick.
Oh.
Here we go. We've had at least 5 or 6 coordinator coaches over the last 2 years. And yet Howie and Nick still remain there. But I'm just saying. All right, Trey, you happy with these? Good guys? What's gonna happen here?
I'm glad they're going in the right direction to get experience on the staff.
Well, Kellen's 35, right? He's young.
Well, he's young, but I'm talking about the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, Vic is older. He's
and
like
then you have other other pieces coming in too. But yeah, the guy from the San Diego Chargers, him. But overall, what I want to say is that they're moving in the right direction to say, like, we know we had problems. We knew that we got to get this fixed. And Nick, I'm just saying that this is a podcast. This is called Enough Said. Nick's on a short leash. Okay?
Oh yeah,
He's on a short leash. And from the press conference that I saw when they opened up about, after the season was ending and stuff that Nick says, I'm not feeling him. Like I just not feeling him, and then all the reports and stuff saying that, his coachability is a suspect, his leadership suspect, and so forth. It's going to remain to be seen now. Now you're trying to bring in a veteran people in and seeing how these guys, the players that we have, are going to get adjusted and have a decent season next season. I don't know if it's going to be no 10 wins, but it'd be good to see 10 wins, I'm trying to say. But if they're halfway through the season and it looks like the same old stuff, man, Nick's got to go. He's got to go and get this. He's got to go.
Well, when does Howie finally get held accountable? I'm sorry. When do you finally say, you know what, you've switched coaches, you've switched players, you've switched coordinators? When do you finally say, is Howie the guy?
Well, see, this is what I'm talking about, Sal, is that you keep blaming Howie. And I think a couple seasons ago, you got to put Jeffrey Lurie into this thing, you know what I mean? Because they're one of a kind.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
No,
they're one of a kind right now. And, from the looks of it, Howie's not going anywhere. So, I mean, just like what we talked about last week, Howie cannot draft for the future. He's like a win now, get it done, and like I proposed that question to you last week. What would you rather have, a Super Bowl or, you drafting for the future and all that stuff? So, but it's you see where Howie's weakness is at. His weakness is where it's going, because now all of a sudden, and I understand that the Georgia guys were all rookies and all that stuff. Did we whiff with all these with these Georgia guys? Did we whiff? It still remains to be seen. So especially with Jordan Davis. I mean, he's 2 years in and whatnot. So. But yeah, what Dre was saying, with Nick, and I was telling him, I said, we got the same problem as Dallas. Because if you look at it, I mean, all we got is a bunch of puppets, and that's what Nick Sirianni is. He's a puppet. Yep. So what is the use of you guys getting these veteran coordinators? And I had to think of, and they was right when I was listening on the radio. What is the use of getting these veteran coordinators and all that stuff? And what's the use of having a coach? What's the use? What? He's a rah-rah coach, and you're involved in some things and you're not involved in others and whatnot. So you just try to just keep everything intact. I mean, I feel as though that's just not a coach. Yeah. And if you look at it, the past history with the coaches that we had, Nick Sirianni, when we hired him, oh, all right, well, who the hell is that? You know what I mean? Andy Reid, when we went back to Andy Reid, we was like, well, who the hell is that? And then, I mean, the only really known person he came out of college was Chip. But everybody else, and then, Doug Peterson had a good pedigree, you know what I mean? Because he came under Andy Reid. But everybody else around there, it's like second, third tier coaches and whatnot that really don't have no experience. And that, and Nick, like I said, you start off 1-3, like Dre said, you start off 1-3, 1-4. That's it. Then where you go? And then Jalen Hurts, one offensive a coordinator. He has a new coordinator in 7 years. It's not good, Sal. It's not good, man.
Yeah, KD coming in and coming in hot. Lori, the new Jelly Jones, KD, typical Eagles fans. I love it. Yeah. Mike, are we overreacting here? Well, Mike's in a good position. He's like, yeah, we got a coach. We got a name. We don't need to.
Yeah, it's tough, though. It was tough. Even in San Francisco, we went through that. With the GM and the ownership, the coach and the whole 9 yards, and finally got what appears to be a good balance of things. You got to have a little bit of luck. I mean, I've been talking about quarterback forever, and Brock Purdy, of all things, comes out of nowhere. Otherwise, we've been having the same conversation about Shanahan and John Lynch. It's like, oh, you got all these players, but you can't draft the quarterback, which is the most important position. You gave up, 3 first-round draft picks for Trey Lance, and he's not even there anymore. So it easily could be the same conversation that I'm talking about San Francisco, but got lucky. And it seems like a lot of teams, really just kind of get lucky with a lot of things. Unfortunately for the Eagles, I think the biggest thing is that Shane Steichen and Gannon, even though they had their issues, they were pretty good coordinators, and they seem to have a good balance there. And, when you have that, other teams want to take that. And so they got hired away. So losing 2 coordinators right at the snap just made it such a challenge. And they didn't really have a succession plan. Like in San Francisco, when Rob Saleh was having all the success, they were grooming DeMeco Ryans. And so, when Saleh left, at least you had Ryans to kind of step in and kind of start his own thing. And then, of course, he's gone, but they got Steve Wilkes, and they were kind of fortunate that he was available, to bring that experience. But, at least the foundation was there. And so I think the Eagles just, I don't see overreacting. There's definitely room for concern, but, you have to see how it plays out.
Dre, this is interesting. Hef says Kellen Moore got criticism for not running the ball against the Chargers. Will he be pass happy with the Eagles? So here we go again. I know you and Nick haven't agreed on running the ball here. Yeah, here we go.
Well, that might be Nick Sirianni's screening, where he's like, "Oh, this guy passes all the time. Hire him." For some reason,
wait a minute.
Doesn't want to run the ball.
Dre, stop. They don't strip Nick Sirianni of everything. This is Howie and Jeffrey's gig. You know what I mean? So Nick doesn't have a say. Like I said, you go back to being a puppet, man. Dre, he's a puppet. He had no say or hire him. Think about it, man. You know what I mean? They have stripped him of everything because if you cannot adapt, you couldn't adapt the last 7 games. You could not adapt. You know what I mean? Because you didn't know what you was doing. How do you do 7 games and not adapt to the blitz? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And then it's not Nick Sirianni and it's not Jeffrey. You got to blame the offensive line coach. I mean, he's been there. Jeff Stoutland, he's been there for the longest. And you mean to tell me you can't adapt and you can't adjust? It's starting to be slowly but surely, guys. It's starting to be a big mess. It is. And everybody's pointing fingers and, oh, it's not my fault, but it's his fault and this, that, and the other and whatnot. It's just starting to slowly, if they don't get it right this offseason, it's starting to slowly, it's starting to fall apart. That's just
but Jermaine, to give you a good point, what you said, what you just said, that is how they get it right. Well, how they going to get it right? They still got Jeffrey and Howie there. Because you're blaming them, right? That's what you're saying. So it doesn't matter who coach comes in. It doesn't matter who the offensive line coach is. It doesn't matter what the players are because the players are being picked by Jeffrey and Howie. Yeah. So then from what you're saying, it's not going to be fixed. It's going to be the same thing.
Well, like I said, look, I'm giving them the off season to see what's going to happen because yes, they make drastic changes with the coordinators, but Nick is still there, and I don't think Nick don't know what the hell he's doing. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and I feel but Jeff and they're not going anywhere, guys. They're not going anywhere. Especially they're not going anywhere because Jeffrey and Howie are one of a kind. They're not going anywhere, so you got to suck it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's like when Kai was on here and he talked about their GM, Telesco, who was there for 10 years. They had like 2 playoff wins, and yet he still had a job, and they finally got rid of him after all that time. There's some owners that'll keep a GM around forever and ever and ever. It seems like.
Yeah, I think freaking Howie Roseman's got some pictures of Lori with somebody else's wife or something. I think that's probably what's going on. There's something going on,
whatever it is. I mean, we got a Super Bowl win in 2017, and I always told Dre that was suspect. I'm just saying, I know it's a Super Bowl ring, but that was suspect because technically, I'm just being real. I feel as though we should have lost that game. That's all. We should have lost it.
And a lot of that was because of our friend in the Jets right now.
Yeah. Forget about Joe. Yeah, you're right.
Joe Douglas had a lot of hands on that team because that was right after they stripped Howie of GM.
Yeah, you're right.
And then they swore he would never be a GM again in terms of that. Like, he'd still do contracts and everything, but they swore he would never pick players again. And it happened. As soon as Joe Douglas left, he went right back. And
but with the comparison to what Mike mentioned earlier about how DeMeco Ryans and he was under basically San Fran that had experience and he got polished. Look at DeMeco Ryans now. He was in the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. So to me, man, that's the difference between the Eagles and San Fran. We don't have they didn't have no veteran coaches in there to help out. I understand what you're saying about the offensive lineman. Offensive line coach. I don't give him excuse. You're right, Jermaine. He should adjust it. But dealing with the whole mess up with Brian Johnson and Hurts not working with each other and stuff. I mean, I saw that from day one against New England that there's something was wrong with that. And using the knee as an excuse, I'm sorry, but in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with his knee. Okay, there's nothing wrong with Jalen Hurts' knee. It's just some cover-ups to say that they got problems with the two not working with each other. And Brian Johnson also back in college, I'm gonna bring this up on the podcast. He coached Dak Prescott, and he also has your guy on the bench right now, Mike, that quarterback behind Brock Purdy. So that tells you where basically the credibility of Brian Johnson is, in my opinion.
Well, you look at this too, Dre. You look at this as well. I mean, they let go of Kellen Moore, right? And Mike McCarthy took over the offensive play duties. Kyle Shanahan, same thing, right? Mike, he calls
he's always
This is why I don't get it, because you look at this just like Shane Steichen. Jalen Hurts had the best career, had his best career and all that stuff. Now he's gone. Now you just fall apart. You need some chemistry for at least 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? Instead of somebody just staying there for 1 year and they're gone, and then here you go back to square one. This is why it goes back to the coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It goes back to the coach.
Yeah.
He's got to have his hand in the cookie. He's got to have his hand in the cookie jar and not being a rah-rah coach. I'm sorry, and like you said, Dre, it goes back, guys. It goes back to Jeffrey Lurie and Harry, because they want to be the power, just like Jerry Jones. You know what I mean? You don't let these people that you hire coach. You don't let them coach. You know what I mean? Let them. You hire these people, coach. Don't let them. Don't put these people on a. You do as I say and all that stuff, and that's it. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So KD says play calling, scheming, coordinator issues. Let the new guys come in and judge them. Then Nick doesn't know how to pick coaching talent. We know that.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I think you guys will be all right with Fangio. I think, he's always been, a savvy defensive coordinator. I am a little concerned about Kellen Moore. I just, I didn't feel strong about that pick. I feel like that's not really your creative, it just, because of what happened in Dallas and how that, as soon as they got rid of him and McCarthy took over, and McCarthy is a good play caller, but, you listen to people talk about McCarthy's play calling, he doesn't have a real exotic playbook. They do a lot of old school kind of, slants and stuff like that, and not a lot of motion and all the kind of whiz bang stuff that the Shanahan type guys do. But he calls a solid offense, and look what Dak did. Dak had his best year ever. And Kellen Moore out there with the Chargers, I mean, their offense kind of balled down. I didn't really see that impressive of a year. And of course, what's the name got hurt out there, but
it was less Eckler.
I don't know. I'm not sure how that's going to make Jalen Hurts better. Like, I just don't know if Kellen Moore is going to help prove him, because he honestly, I think, is the guy on that offense that has to hit the next level. He got the money and everything for what he did, but now it's like Lamar, you got to go another gear up higher and kind of earn that money, I guess you could say. And I'm not sure Kellen Moore is going to unlock that. That's my concern.
Yeah. Katie drinking the Kool-Aid. I believe we're in a great position. 2 new coaches now, how to use their playmakers, man. He's a diehard. The Eagles were down 27-3 or something against, Tampa. And he's like, yeah, we're still got this, guys. Man, he doesn't let go. He's a diehard. I will give KD credit on that.
Yeah,
man.
I give KD that, man. I will. Hats off, man. But
God bless you, man.
Yeah, we're all looking at the same thing. I mean, my God. I mean, I'm a diehard Eagles fan too, KD. We all are. You know what I mean?
Guys, I'm a sore loser. I'm a sore loser.
I mean, but you gotta look at this, man. This is slowly, the wheels are slowly, one lug nut at a time. It's starting to come off. And like I said, I'm giving them this off season, to clean all this up and everything and see what happens. That's all.
Well, Jermaine, I like that analogy. Just don't put back strip nuts back on
the chili. That's it.
Don't put those same strip nuts back on there, because all it's going to do is spin. Ain't going to connect.
They'll fall right back off. You're right.
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good analogy.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
There you go. All right, well, let's stick with the coaching and talk about the coaching moves which haven't happened yet, guys. And that's Bill Belichick doesn't have a home yet. What's going on with Bill Belichick?
His attitude. Nobody can work with him, Sal. Nobody can work. That's what Atlanta was. They's like, we just don't trust Bill because he's not going to get along with the front office. Yeah, well, I think that's the biggest thing. You know what I mean? He wants full control of everything. So
yeah, I think that is pretty much it. That you have to give up a lot to get him. A lot of teams are like, no, that's because especially let's say he was in New England and he wanted to get out, and they left on a good note. Like Matt Jones was in a good position, and the team didn't look like they did over the last year, and the whole coordinator mess. If he looked good coming out of New England, I think people would have just been like, he's hired no matter what. But the last 3-4 years in New England were terrible, man. You look at the moves he made, and you're like, I want to bring that guy in and expect him to actually turn my franchise around. I mean, he's almost like a wrecking ball. He's going to destroy things now. I mean, I'm not surprised. I was really surprised the Falcons were looking at him to start with, but I think he's going to be on TV.
With Tom Brady.
Yeah, with Tom Brady. Mike, do you also think he the last 3 years have been pretty bad? Because even when McDaniels left and became the coach of Las Vegas Raiders, they didn't have a good offensive coordinator, right? Because when McDaniels was always there, he was always pretty good.
Yeah, McDaniels definitely was good. And that first year of Mac Jones, I think McDaniels was there, and Mac Jones probably had his best year that year. And then after that, he left, and then he did the whole Patricia was the offensive coordinator or judge, Joe Judge, from the what you call it, the Giants.
The Giants.
I mean, he went crazy picking people to do jobs that they had no business doing, and they just ruined Mac Jones. And Mac Jones went into the toilet. And then this year they got Bill O'Brien, but Bill O'Brien's sitting there screaming at Mac Jones, calling him an idiot and whatnot. And Mac's like, I can't take this no more.
Right.
And it just was terrible. The draft picks. I mean, who can you think of? Who's on their team that you can mention on their offense? Maybe Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, that's like the only name you can think of.
Wow.
Who have they been drafting? I mean, they just. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Katie says no more desperate franchises out here to take him. It's all over. Maybe New Orleans or Giants in a year or so. I mean, even Atlanta didn't want him, guys. Carolina. Well, I don't think he would have wanted to go to Carolina, but man,
who wants to go to Carolina?
Well, apparently somebody went to Carolina. Yeah, that's done.
Good luck.
I mean. So there are some coaching positions left, guys. Anybody who you think is a good fit? Anybody who you're surprised hasn't been hired yet?
Vrabel.
Vrabel.
Yeah. They still taking him to the Sea Chickens, but that's really the only option. I don't think Washington's interested. Vrabel is the only person I can think of.
Yeah.
Ron Rivera will be DC in Washington. I think that's going to happen. F will scream if that happens again.
Yeah, no chance. No chance.
I really thought he was going to come to the Eagles, but I think the Eagles even last year mentioned they wanted Vic. I mean, they really were hoping for him last year, and then he got taken. And then what happened there. But
well, the only setback I don't like is that pretty much Miami players said good riddance. You know what I mean? That's what I'm afraid of. I mean, can the players adapt, especially the young players, adapt to his style of defense? You know what I mean? And because he's old school. He's old school. And that's probably what you need. But can the young players adapt? Because I don't know what players were complaining because Drew Rosenhaus was saying that a few players were complaining that his style of defense and the way he approaches stuff and whatnot. And then some people got on Twitter and they was like, smiley faces because Fangio, he's gone, so that's the only setback I see,
That is interesting because, last year San Francisco was trying to get him as well because D'Amico was leaving. And so it is interesting because Mike McDaniels, it was kind of like a big win for him to get Vic Fangio to be his defensive coordinator. And 1 year later, he's letting him go.
Yeah,
that is concerning. Like, what the hell happened? What happened?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I like that. Ben Johnson will be head coach probably, but Rivera's a Boy Scout troop leader at this point. He's washed. So
can't stand Rivera, boy. You would think he would stole his lunch or something, man. He can't stand him. Ron was not bad. He was just not. It's just a bad situation. But Ron did some decent things. I don't think Ron's going to get another coaching job right now.
Oh no, I think he's done. Yeah, coordinator. Coordinator at best.
I'm not sure if he's going to get that. I'm not sure if he wants that.
The
experience he went through Washington. Some of it of his own doing because he took on a lot, so he kind of asked for the punishment. But all the drama the last was 5-6 years. I mean, I probably want to take a break to say I don't want to deal with none of this crap right now. Just walk away from it.
So, Mike, let's talk about your boy in Charger land now. I left Michigan, right? He's on his way.
Boy. Kai told me last night, somebody texted, said to make sure to mention that, they're coming. He said that the Chiefs are coming for everybody. I mean, the Chargers are coming for everybody. He's excited. We'll see. I mean, Harbaugh is Harbaugh, I think they'll be better. That for sure. Will they get the Super Bowl? I don't know, but definitely will be a better team. I'm curious who he's going to have for coordinators. They're already talking about he's going to bring one of his Michigan guys to be the defensive coordinator. I mean, he had, when he was the coach of the Niners, he brought in Vic Fangio, and I had never heard of Fangio. And that defense, granted, that defense had players, especially linebackers. I mean, Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman, both Hall of Fame level players, and so that made that defense click. And it still came down to like a pick six lucky play to get to the Super Bowl with that team. So it's still with the Chargers and Harbaugh. Yeah, I think they'll be a lot better. I think it's a good move.
Yeah.
Please with the LeBron town.
Yeah. LeBron town. That's Dre's boy, man. He's going to go visit the museum out there in LA, right?
Right past it.
Oh, man. So, yeah, interesting that the Chargers hired him. There's a few openings left. I don't know. Washington's the biggest one, guys. Maybe Ben Johnson goes to Washington. I don't know, but that seems to be one of the bigger ones out there. Yeah,
I think it's a lot. They haven't they haven't said nothing else, talked to nobody else, and he's the only guy that's technically not allowed to talk to anybody until after today or after next week. And I'll say today because they're gonna lose. But yeah, but yeah, I think it's Ben Johnson, and I think that'll be an interesting move. He has a good offense. He has a good mind. Everybody says he's smart and everything like that. I'd be curious to see, what coordinators he brings in. But, I mean, that's a good start for the franchise. I mean, they need it. They need something fresh, So new ownership, new GM, new everything. And the guy that has a GM, Adam Young, everything they're saying, the guy knows how to pick players. So,
yeah,
we didn't talk about Dan Quinn, did we? We didn't talk about. No, I was just saying. I was just listening what Hef said. We didn't talk about Dan Quinn.
Yeah,
he's still there, right?
Yeah, he's still a coordinator. Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna lose his job. I mean, I don't think he's gonna leave to go coach. If it ain't happened now, I don't think it's gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. Yeah, you're right.
What about sleeping with Bieniemy? Why hasn't this guy still gotten a head coaching job somewhere? What is going on with Eric Bieniemy, man?
It's a hidden secret somewhere. You know what I mean? That maybe down the road it's really gonna get exposed. But yeah, something's up, man. Something is up big time with him. I don't understand it.
Nobody even talked to him this
exactly.
Washington did a courtesy interview, but
that was about it. Yeah.
Carolina. What? I mean, who was the team that talked to Brian Johnson? I mean, Jesus, you look at Brian Johnson. Like, what? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
exactly.
And not Airbnb.
Yeah.
It's like looking at Sean Desai for head coach. Come on.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Yeah.
Hef says
I was gonna say that, Hef, because I remember doing the preseason and stuff, the whole Bieniemy issue with the players and stuff, so when they were doing training camp. So,
talked about how a lot of teams just you hate to say it, because it's like it's football. You always expect coaches to be tough and cuss you out and all that kind of stuff and tell it like it is. And it seems like a lot of teams don't want people like that. Like Harbaugh is probably the closest to any coach that got hired. That's it's my way or the highway. I'm gonna tell you like it is and hurt your feelings kind of guy. Everybody else, you look at the Belichick's or Bieniemy's and those kind of guys that haven't got jobs. It almost seems like teams don't want to bring that element into their organization. Like they just think their players aren't going to respond well to that. Yeah, it's funny for football because you always think football is
hard news.
Get these guys in the shape,
hard news,
big them
military
tough,
type stuff.
And it's just like that style of coaching. Maybe people don't respond to that no more.
It's the new era. Honestly.
Yeah, they want play. I think it's all about respect, right? A lot of these players, I think, want coaches who have played the game, who has won something. I mean, what are you going to do if you go in there and Tom Brady tells you to do something? I mean, this guy has won 6 Super Bowls. You're going to say, no, you don't know what you're talking about? I mean, you got to respect a guy like that. You know what I mean? So I think that a lot of it is that, and I think some of it is exactly what you just said, Mike, too. Just they don't like being yelled and screamed at. It's a different era, and the toughness is who knows if it's a toughness thing where they got to toughen up, play harder. I don't know. But
we got a bunch of pansies in this league. You know what I mean? We got a bunch of.
I was waiting for that to come.
Yeah,
I was going to say it. I was going to start it off. Go, Jermaine.
Pansies. Yeah, I'm serious, man. Seriously, y'all getting paid all this money, and you still wearing panties to the game. I mean, come on, y'all. Oh, he's hollering at me. I don't like the way he talks. We are grown men, and y'all sit up here crying. Come on, man.
But I mean, it's like it's almost generational, Jermaine. I mean, we got people on my job, man. They quit without telling you. They tell you 2 weeks after that.
Telling you.
They quit. They tell you 2 weeks later after you find them. You gotta call everybody. You got to call their mother. They got to call your girlfriend. He ain't come to work today. Where's he at? Oh, we don't. Finally, 2 weeks later, I quit about 2 weeks ago. I mean, that's just how these people are nowadays, man.
They are, man. I had an interview, and the guy was like, "So, when am I getting an offer letter?" I'm like, "What?" Like he said, and the way they got me, he says, because I got another one lined up, so I want to I'm gonna take off the offer letter now. He said, I got another one lined. I was like, wow. Okay, well,
we don't need you.
We don't need you.
You're right, though. It seems like it's a lot of the players just, they have a
new
lot
generation,
of
man.
And
new generation.
That toughness, that's why, there's some, I guess there's a balance to it. That's why it's so impressive with Mike Tomlin, and everybody like sit there and get mad at Mike Tomlin. Like, man, he doesn't hold George Pickens accountable. It's like, you got to understand, man, it is a balance that you got to have with these kids nowadays. You got to somehow find a way to be tough, but still not like get them to disappear, because they are making millions of dollars and you do need them on the field. So it's tough, man.
But it is, at the same time, they show their toughness in a different way. You know what I mean? Like it's different,
Yeah.
Like, no more of the Bill Parcells and all that,
No, it's nice.
Or the Bobby Knights.
I never seen so much crying. You know what I mean? And just whining. You're whining, man. You're whining.
I like
You're absolutely whining,
Oh All right. Well, speaking of
being a parent.
Exactly. It is. You're right, Mike.
You're telling your kids, I know what's best. I've been through this. And I ain't want to listen at all. You're just hard-headed.
Speaking of whining, let's talk about the game today in the 49ers. Because, my man Dre Greenlaw had 2 interceptions last week. He was on top of his game, obviously, much to Big Dom's chagrin. But they are at home against Detroit today, and Detroit looked pretty good last week, guys. I thought they would come on, it was Tampa Bay, and
right, exactly.
I know, really, Sal. Exactly. Come on, Sal.
With
Tampa
confident
Bay was bad too. But,
Mayberry getting confidence so far. Sorry.
Philly. Philly might as well have played Detroit. How about that?
So, any hope for Detroit today, guys? I mean, is there anything Detroit can do to pull this thing out, or what are they going to do here?
Well, just like what Mike said. Mike saying if he wants the 49ers to play a complete game, you got to go. Detroit's got to play above and beyond a complete game. They need at least 2 turnovers to try to make something happen. And I don't. Is it raining today in San Fran?
Nope.
Mike? Oh, it's not. Weather. Okay. All right. Because you know where I was going.
With Brock. Yeah.
You know where I was going with that.
He gets his weakness, right?
That's his.
Which you get wet, all of a sudden your powers disappear.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
So,
Mike, what about the kicker? Isn't he a little suspect?
Yeah, he was, but last week he was on his game, man.
He was
2-yard field goal. So I guess I'm not too worried about him no more. For Detroit to have success, one, their defense has to play lights out because that's always what I've been screaming all years. Their defense is not that good, and that's what was going to bring them down. So their defense has to play above their, punch above their weight, as they say, force a turnover. Like H. Hutchinson's got to cause some drama. They got to have some breaks. And then on offense, you saw it last week. I've been saying it all season. I've been crying about it all season, and that's stopping the run. Stopping the run or not being able to stop the run. Green Bay had their way. Green Bay was doing a really good job of blocking. Like I've seen the receivers like really cracking back. I mean, they took Chase Young right out the play a couple times. I mean, I was just like, dang, but that's what you need. And that's what Detroit will have to do, something like that, and run the ball and control the clock.
Yeah.
For me, it's all about, look, Niners offense against their defense. The Niners have a significant advantage. Their offense against the Niners defense, I don't think is as much an advantage. I think they have an advantage, but nowhere near as strong. So I think that's the difference, is that, San Francisco just has more of an advantage overall.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Sal.
No, I was just going to say, Andre Debo is playing today. He might not be 100%, but he is playing today.
That's interesting. Well, I think if Debo can play a complete 4 quarters, I think they're going to win this game. But what I'm actually seeing is more coming from Kittles, because Detroit never could help stop the tight ends throughout the season. And also what Mike mentioned about stopping the run, they got Gibbs. Detroit Lions is a good running back. He's pretty quick.
Well, Gibbs and Montgomery. They got a two-headed
combination.
Monster.
They got a two-headed monster.
Yeah.
So I really like 49ers. Everything should be lined up for them today to have a complete game. If it's turnovers, missed field goal, bad play call,
penalties is a big one. I mean, that Green Bay game.
And now I don't know if you guys saw last week, or was it the week before, that the offensive lineman for Detroit went to the referee, said, "I am in. You hear me? I'm eligible." He kept pointing.
Funny.
So we don't want any kind of controversial calls today, too, which is going to be interesting. So I'm taking San Fran. They did a better team, but if Detroit does this, beat them, I'll be shocked.
Well, look, this is what I'm going to say, and I talked to Dre about it, Mike, and I'm going to present it to you. I mean, you feel as though that you're in a great position. Yes, you are in a great position today, but just looking at the last 4 or 5 years, I mean, you're pretty much in the same position that the Eagles were when they went to 4 straight Super Bowl NFC championships, went to 1 Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So, I mean, my thing is that if you guys don't get it done this year, you got to see that door is closing, man. That door is closing. You know what I mean?
There definitely is a feeling of, if it's not now, then when?
Yeah.
Especially with Shanahan. I mean, it's like you don't feel like it's somewhere where you got to fire the guy or nothing like that. Because I don't know what you change, but I mean, I don't know how you could ask for a better set of circumstances.
Exactly.
You got everyone's healthy. You got the number 1 pick, you got number 1 bye, you got the bye week, you got home field throughout, and you got a Detroit Lions team, which was the 3 seed that, was a good team, get me wrong, but it's not like the Eagles of last year, where you're looking at like a powerhouse, the Lions aren't necessarily a powerhouse team. No, everything is kind of lined up, but the only thing that's kind of like not lining up is that, whoever the Niners get through today, they're going to play 2 teams that are basically, like a nemesis. I mean, Baltimore kicked their butt, and has beat them in the Super Bowl before.
Yep.
And they have a great quarterback, and Mahomes himself, he's the magic man. I mean, it's not like the Lambs getting like Joe Burrow, where you kind of felt like, oh, the Lambs probably going to win this one, because Joe Burrow, he's good. He knew they were going to beat the Bengals, but it's like getting the Ravens or the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It's like, dang, man, I just wish I could have had a little easier.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough task for Detroit today, no doubt about it. But to address the window, CMC is not getting any younger, and there's a lot of mileage on those tires, man. That guy is taking a beating. So how much more he can go, because Carolina used him to death, man. I mean, they
oh my God,
I almost wish San Fran had him earlier. It would have been awesome if they had got him like from the beginning instead of after so many years of running in Carolina. I will say this though, if Brock Purdy, I mean, if they get to the Super Bowl, win or lose, let's say they get, but he has a great game, and it's like a lock the guy is your quarterback. You know, if that's the case, then they can at least continue to keep building around him and not have to worry about that.
True.
And that's the luxury that Kansas City has and some of these other teams have, that it's like, all right, we ain't got to worry about that. So they still stay competitive because they can focus on everything else but quarterback. So that's what I want to see, is him really own the job, like thoroughly. There's no question. He's the guy going forward, and that's it.
But you're gonna have to pay him.
Until he gets paid. Until he gets paid, and then what happens?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, at least they got almost 2 more years before that happens. So hopefully they got a plan in place to keep guys and draft guys. You know, that's where the draft comes in. You got to get solid players cheap.
Well, geez, is he going to finish that contract out? I mean, say if he has a Super Bowl, he rides, he gets a Super Bowl win, and then next year he's lighting it up. I mean, they look at that agents like, you know what? We need to renegotiate this contract. You know what I'm saying? So, because I know he's getting paid chump change on his rookie contract.
Oh yeah. He's like
Mr. Irrelevant, Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
He's like he's very cheap right now. And look, if he gets the money, which if let's say they win the Super Bowl, a whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
you've got 2 years of footage to say, all right, I feel good about paying this guy because he did it multiple years. Yeah. It's not like, I hate to say Jalen, but it's not like Jalen. We saw 1 year of greatness and then he got paid, or some of these other guys that showed just 1 year. If you got 2 or 3 years of a guy getting really good and then you get paid, all right, at least I got something to go back on and feel good about making that investment,
Right. Yeah.
But Hef's right. Montgomery and Gibbs got to combine like Captain Planet to win today. That's true. Mike, I couldn't let it go without talking about the Gravedigger today. So let's talk about the Gravedigger. This guy's getting paid a lot of money to do. And is he going to be blue chip today and get the 49ers what they need?
Yes, but you won't know about it.
Okay.
Because I keep listening to a lot of different things and looking at stats and stuff, and everything statistically, he's actually looked pretty good. It's just he's in the middle where his impact is like it's a stat sheet kind of position. So he doesn't get all the sacks, but he's got tons of pressures and quarterback hits, and he is causing ruckus back in there, but it's just. No one's going to know about it. So it's just, I'm going to watch it because I keep hearing all these great things about Hargrave that he's been doing this season. And it's like, well, I don't ever hear his name, but it's just one of those things. It's kind of like Jordan Davis in a way where he could be doing great things, but you don't really hear about it because he's just in a position that doesn't get the glamorous plays, the sacks and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's flip on the other side. Dre, your favorite team, Mahomes, the Chiefs, so they got a couple injuries today, but latest I heard there's, a couple players are kind of on the fence to play, but they got some injuries going on. Taylor Swift will be in the house. And Baltimore, here's a quarterback who held out. He was his own agent, and this guy is coming, and you got to give the guy credit. He came in this year to play, to prove something. He didn't just sit back once he got paid and got sloppy, man. So is it going to be enough today?
Yeah, he definitely proved me wrong. I've been on him for a couple of years because this is his 4th playoff, right? Playoff run. I think he was 1-3, I think, or something.
Yeah,
1-3. So. I'm actually rooting for the Ravens. Baltimore has all the right pieces, just like San Fran does. And Baltimore's destiny is to win the thing. I think that if no mistakes come from Lamar, he might be an MVP. For it might even, if he gets to the Super Bowl, it might be MVP for the Super Bowl. But now on the other side, Kansas City Chiefs just don't die. Kansas City Chiefs always find a way to win. Now to my understanding, Pacheco is he doubtful or is he?
Yeah, he's
questionable.
He's playing.
And is Tony out?
Yeah, Tony is, I think.
I don't know if they need him.
Wait, that's what I'm saying. We talking about Kadarius Tony?
He's out.
I know,
really?
I'm surprised he's like.
but
They
I'm
even
just
allowed him
talking
on the
about.
plane.
But they need every receiver they can get. You know.
Yeah.
Travis. You know, Travis showed last week. He's like, I'm back. You know. So let's see if he got that again today. You know. Of course, the last thing I'm gonna say, Patrick Mahomes, man. What can you say about this guy? I mean, the guy gets it done, you know. And he's on the road, you know, and he's on the road against a tough opponent in the rain. But again, Kansas City, the weather don't bother them. They're a cold city.
Stop moving your head.
Cold city. So to me, man, I was saying this earlier. John has to just keep the pedal down and don't let up at all, because Kansas City, if you let them hang around, they'll beat you. If you let them even have 2-3 scores, they can still come back and tie it up. Like, they got to come out and be aggressive all the way. So.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be keeping the foot on the gas, and you got to knock him out. You know, Mahomes is going to be crying over every single official call if it doesn't go their way. That's just the way he's going to be. And the officials know that. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a very physical game. Baltimore plays a very physical style, especially on defense. And I think they're going to go after him today. And I don't think Mahomes likes physical games like that. He's going to be on the ground. He's going to be wearing some grass. That's just the way it's going to be, you know. And like Jermaine said, he's got to be a big boy. Stop crying about it, because you're going to get hit today, you know, and you better be ready, you know. So I think that Baltimore will pull it out. I think it's going to be close, but I think Baltimore will pull it out. So, Mike.
I think Baltimore will pull it out. I do think Baltimore does have a lot of pressure on them, though. I mean, it's, you know, Lamar has played very well, but there's still this feeling, I think, amongst the, you know, the city and people in the league, that's like Lamar is great, but this is kind of like he's got to get that next level, you know, get his team to a championship kind of thing. You know, it's kind of like in the shadow of Flacco, kind of, you know, because, you know, he took over for Flacco, and some people were kind of hurt about that, because I remember that playoff game when Flacco was okay to play, and Harbaugh still put in Lamar and said, we're going with Lamar in this game, and then we're going with Lamar going forward. And people kind of didn't like that. And so I think they've kind of held that against Lamar a little bit. And so I think there's a lot of pressure on the Ravens to really perform today. And they really got to answer the bell. I think they will, but, you know, this is not an easy task, especially Chiefs are banged up, you know, so this gives the Ravens an advantage. So there really is kind of like no excuse for them to lose, but it is Mahomes.
Yeah. Jermaine, who you like?
Yeah, I like Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore, I think they're going to pull this thing out, because I'm going to tell you this. Kansas City shouldn't have won that game last week. All right, that's the bottom line. I mean, everybody's taking, Mahomes this, Mahomes that. You know, Mahomes know how to do it. No, Kansas City shouldn't have won that game last week. I'm just, you know, I'm sorry. Buffalo's still cursed. You know what I mean? With the Ride White field goal and all that stuff.
Right.
You know, but KC shouldn't have won that. KC shouldn't have won that game. But I'm liking Baltimore. I think if Baltimore come out and dominate like they've been doing all season, and you know, like you said, you know, this could be, you know, Dre's always on Lamar talking about turnovers and inaccuracy. This could be that game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be that game to where he was hot, and then you come into the playoffs, it's like, oh boy. You know, so but nevertheless, I still take it Baltimore because of that defense.
You know, one thing about the Chiefs is interesting. Like that Buffalo game, like you're right. And that Buffalo game was almost like the San Fran game, where they really had the game won, but because of bad coaching decisions, they lost. You know, like Dre was always saying, they're going for the fourth down business. The fake field goal with Damar Hamlin. Like, what are you thinking? Like,
exactly.
What did you see? And why would you still do that, knowing that your defense can't stop the Chiefs? That you're going to give them a short field. It's just, you know, and so that's the thing about today. It's like, if it's a tight game, you know, is Andy Reid going to be the one to have the blunder, or is Harbaugh going to have the bad decision? Or Lamar had the bad decision that you just like, why were they doing that? Why did they think that? So, they got to really come out and dominate. If the game is close, it's going to be edge of your seat. You know.
Yeah, it's going to be close. And then if Andy doesn't do it again and he loses, I mean, it's so tough with this guy because he gets to the championship game every year. He has really good records. All right, yeah, he won a Super Bowl, but I mean, he couldn't get there for the Eagles for the most part, except for last year. He really hasn't gotten there with the Chiefs. Like, what is the ceiling with this guy? How much longer do they hang on to him? You know,
Well, I mean, he got 2 Super Bowls in 4 years or 5 years.
Is that Mahomes though or him? I mean, that's the question, right? I mean,
that's the Brady Belichick question.
Yeah, we're gonna find out.
Yep. Yeah,
I don't think he wins
yeah.
them without Mahomes. I'm sorry, I don't think he wins that game without Mahomes against the Eagles. So,
oh yeah, I agree, but
yeah.
that's that's the date that just kind of happens. I mean, I don't know if Bill Walsh wins everything he got without Joe Montana. I mean, it's just it's just how it is with the league. You know, a good coach and quarterback combination.
Wasn't Andy's first year? He lost to the Colts, right? Like he had to win. That was before Patrick Mahomes came in, wasn't that Alex Smith?
Maybe
Alex Smith, yeah.
So, yeah, that's interesting. I'm just thinking.
It's I mean, Mahomes obviously isn't going anywhere, but I mean, Reeves had him for a few years now, and he's definitely. I mean, he's gotten farther than he did with Donovan McNabb. I'll say that. you know, so.
But I mean, Tom Brady didn't win it every year. I mean, they were in it every year.
Almost.
But, I mean, there was, they got to the Super Bowl quite often. I mean, they lost a handful of them. I mean, they had to eat the division too. But it's just if you have a good system in place, about the best you can ask for is opportunity to always be in the mix at the end. And then after that, it's anything can happen. It just seems like that. So yeah, I mean, Andy Reid, I mean, he's Hall of Fame coach. I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon unless he wants to. I don't think there's any bad vibes whatsoever in that city, with regards to him and that team.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll find out, guys. Obviously, games this afternoon, 3:15, 6 o'clock, something like that today.
Yep.
So we'll find all that out, and we'll be back on next week talking about it at 11. So real quick closing thoughts, guys. We'll just go around the horn real fast. Dre, who would you like to see in the Super Bowl?
Ravens and 49ers.
Okay.
It's going to be a rematch from the Harbaugh brothers. Just hopefully there's no lights out in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. My company is the ones that made the electrical switch gear.
Oh, that makes sense. Man. I'm actually, this season, how our Eagles and hopes and all that, but I think the right teams are in for Detroit. Look at that, wow! But I got Baltimore and 49ers, and then next week I'll tell you who's going to win the Super Bowl.
Jermaine, who you want to see? Who you like?
I mean, really, I don't like all 4 teams, to be honest with you. So I really don't. So but if I had to pick somebody, to win it all, I am, going for Baltimore. But I mean, the real, I guess the big thing is, it's going to be San Fran, and I think it is going to be San Fran and Baltimore. I think Detroit just doesn't. I think they just don't. They don't have it. That's what I'm trying to say. They don't have it, but they had a good run and everything. They got a good future and stuff. But I'm looking at Baltimore and San Fran.
All right. Do I even need to ask Mike? But we'll ask him anyway.
Well, this is what I picked at the beginning of the season. In our predictions, I said Ravens Niners. So that's the matchup I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to the Ravens Chiefs. I don't care. I mean, I just want Niners Chiefs, Niners Ravens. I don't care as long as the Niners are in there, because both games, if they win it, I'll feel good about it because they're paybacks. There's a long time coming.
Yeah, I mean, look, what do I think it's going to be? I obviously think it's going to be Baltimore and the Niners. What would I like it to be? I'd like to see Detroit get in there. Obviously, I can't vote for Greenlaw, Mike. Come on, So
yeah, well, so I can't root for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I can't stand him. So I'm done with him.
Yeah, well, he might be coming back to the Eagles. Who knows, man?
This will be their only like NFC win, right? Like Detroit never won it.
Yeah, I don't think they've.
No, they've never been in a championship game. I think this is the
Nah.
first time you've been in this
This
far.
is their first year. Yup, you're right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd like to see them pull it out. You know, the underdog and all that. Will they? Probably not. But yeah, I think it's going to be Chiefs and Niners, and we'll talk about next week who we think are going to win that game if it gets to that. You know, so we'll talk about that. Hef says Chiefs and Niners. Okay, we'll see. You know, maybe, but I think it's going to be Baltimore and Niners in the Super Bowl. So, but all right, we'll find out till next week, guys. As always, it's been awesome.
Yep.
So you can check us out. As always, we're streaming live on YouTube and Twitter. As always, enoughsaidcrew@gmail.com is the email address. As Dre shot up there. Hey, we've gotten one new subscriber in the last month on YouTube. So hit that like button, subscribe button, get us going on YouTube if you could. We'd love to hear from you guys, comment on some of our videos and all that, and get out there. But we are getting more downloads, so we appreciate everybody who's downloading online, whether it's, you know, iHeartRadio, whatever it might be, Spotify, iTunes. So we definitely appreciate all you all out there. Shout out to the Enough Said podcast, all the guys on the show here. We appreciate you. And of course, all dressed up as well. They
if we can get rid of the host, I guarantee you our downloads will go skyrocket. You know what I mean?
Oh man! You know,
wow, we got a grouchy Smurf here. Don't like none of the teams.
Now he go get burnt by the chiller, man.
What did he say? He said like shit. That's right.
That's awesome. We'll see you all next week. Enjoy the games today, guys. They're going to be good ones for sure, and we appreciate everyone, guys.
All right, enjoy.
All right, peace up, guys.